The surprise gift. I paid off my mom's mortgage in secret. At the barbecue, I handed her the deed. She smiled and gave it to my brother. Let me tell you something about being the responsible one in a family. It's a trap. They don't say thank you. They don't call you selfless. They just expect it, like clockwork, like background noise. That was me. Renee, the quiet, helpful daughter who always showed up. And for 5 years straight, I worked 2 jobs, canceled vacations, skipped birthdays, and lived in a shoebox apartment just so I could do one thing: pay off my mom's house. Not for clout, not for a write-off, just because I wanted to do something huge for the woman who raised me. And yeah, I wanted her to be proud. But what happened? Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. What happened made me wish I'd never spent a single damn cent. Let's rewind. Mom bought our house back in 1994. Small place, 2-bedroom, nothing flashy, but it was ours. She raised me and my older brother Trey there after Dad walked out. Trey was the charmer, always getting into trouble, always getting out of it with a smile and a joke. I was the fixer, the one Mom leaned on when the fridge broke, or when she couldn't figure out her taxes, or when Trey needed bail again. She never said it out loud, but the math was clear. Trey was her favorite, and I was her fallback. So 5 years ago, after Mom had a health scare, I made a decision. I sat down with a financial planner and said, how long would it take to pay off my mom's mortgage if I made double payments every month? He laughed. I didn't. And from that day on, I lived on less than half my salary and put the rest toward that house. Every single month. I didn't tell anyone, not even my best friend, not my partner, no one, because I wanted it to be a moment, a mic drop, the kind of thing that would finally make Mom look at me and say, you really came through for me. Fast forward to this spring. I got the final confirmation from the bank. The house was paid off. The statement arrived in a big envelope, heavy, official, with those little watermark seals and gold lettering that makes you feel like you just bought a damn castle. I cried in my car for a full 15 minutes before I could even drive home. Then I called up Mom and said, let's throw a big barbecue at the house. My treat. Invite everyone. She was thrilled. That's so sweet, baby. Oh, Trey's gonna be here too. He just got back from Costa Rica. Great. Trey, the globe-trotting golden boy, was gonna be there. Perfect. The day of the party, I printed out the final mortgage statement and had it framed. Not as a flex, but as a gift. I also made a card. Inside, I wrote, for everything you sacrificed, for every late night, for every time you put us first, it's yours. No more payments. No more stress. You're free. I placed it under the frame, wrapped them both up, and brought them to the backyard with the ribs, drinks, and potato salad. Everyone was already buzzing when I arrived. Trey was holding court in the corner, talking about how spiritual his jungle retreat had been and how he might be launching a podcast soon. Classic. Mom hugged me, complimented my dress, asked if I brought napkins. Then we all ate, laughed, took photos. Finally, I tapped a glass and stood up. Hey, can I say something real quick? People quieted down. Someone hit record on their phone. I held up the gift bag. Mom, for the last 5 years I've been working on something. You've done everything for us. Held this family together. Kept us safe. So I wanted to give a little of that back. She blinked. I handed her the frame. She read the card. Everyone clapped. She stood up, covered her mouth, and started crying. Oh my God, baby. You paid it off? The whole thing. Every penny. The whole family gasped. Someone whistled. My aunt mouthed, wow. I felt my chest swell. This was it. This was the moment. And then she turned. Smiling through tears, she turned to Trey and said, it's yours now, honey. You can finally have a place to settle down. I blinked. What? Trey laughed. Wait, are you serious? And then she handed him the envelope. Like it was his. Like I had just announced his name at a damn award show. I just stood there, holding a red plastic cup, watching my mother gift my 5-year financial sacrifice to the man who once pawned her TV for Bitcoin. People started clapping again. Trey was giving a fake Oscar speech. Wow, I mean, I didn't see this coming. Shout out to Renee for being the real MVP though. Mom laughed, wiped her tears. You deserve it, sweetheart. You've been through so much. Through so much? He had been through so much? He had never paid a bill in his life. Never stayed in a relationship longer than 6 months. Never held a job without a mental health break excuse to quit. Meanwhile, I was still living in a one-bedroom walk-up, heating soup on a 2-burner stove I couldn't afford to replace. I said nothing, because if I opened my mouth, I was going to scream. So I smiled, and I nodded, and I walked to the cooler, popped a soda, and started planning. Because one thing Mom didn't know, the house was still in her name. And Trey didn't own a damn thing. But I did. I owned the paper trail, and I was about to burn this entire fantasy to the ground. Trey got applause. I got silence. But guess who kept the receipts? After the party, everyone left with full bellies and warm memories. Everyone except me. I left with a fake smile and a stomach full of rage. When I got home, I didn't even take my shoes off. I dropped my bag, walked to the kitchen, and opened the drawer where I kept everything I never planned to need. Receipts. Statements. Proof. You see, when you grow up with a golden child sibling, you learn early. If you don't document everything, they'll rewrite the story. And Trey? He was the author, director, and star of every narrative. Growing up, he was the charming screw-up. The kid who broke windows and got extra dessert anyway. The one who flunked out of college, and Mom still called him my genius. The one who borrowed $4,000 from her checking account and never paid it back. And somehow, I got lectured for stirring up drama when I brought it up. Meanwhile, I got grounded for AB+. When Trey crashed his second car, Mom co-signed for a third. When I needed help with rent during grad school, "You've always been so independent, honey. You'll figure it out." And I did. Every single time. Because that's what I was raised to do. Clean up. Hold it together. Say it's fine, even when it's definitely not fine. But this was different. This wasn't about who got the last slice of pizza or who Mom bragged about on Facebook. This was a house. A literal home. Paid for in full by me. And watching her hand it to Trey like a party favor? That flipped a switch I didn't know I had. The next morning, I got a text from Trey. "Hey, thanks again for everything yesterday. Mom said I can start moving in next week. I'm thinking of turning the garage into a recording studio. You good with that?" You. Good. With that. As if I had simply made a donation to his new real estate venture. As if I was just the anonymous benefactor behind his next life phase. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop, and I started organizing. 5 years of wire transfers. A signed letter from Mom giving me power of attorney over her finances during her surgery recovery, which she forgot I still had. Email threads with her mortgage lender. A notarized statement from the bank manager confirming I'd made every single payment. I laid it all out. Labeled it. Dated it. Put it in a folder on my desktop called House Fraud, just in case. By lunchtime, I had another text. This time from Mom. "Renee, can you swing by this week? Trey wants to rearrange the living room, but we're not sure where you put the cable box. Also, he wants to paint." I stared at it for a full minute. He wanted to paint? Paint the living room I just spent 5 years of my life paying for? The audacity was Olympic level. I typed a reply. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. Instead, I sent back. "Can't this week. Working. Tell Trey to ask Google." Short. Flat. Done. She didn't reply. I took a deep breath and tried to move on with my day. But I couldn't stop replaying that moment at the party. The look on Mom's face. That warm, glowing smile when she handed Trey the envelope. Like I had just served him a dream on a silver platter. And it hit me. She didn't think she was stealing from me. Because in her mind, I wasn't losing anything. I was just doing what I'd always done, giving. That night, I went back through old texts, and emails, and Facebook messages. And you know what I found? Every thank you from Mom was transactional. "Thanks for picking up my prescription. Trey's been swamped. Thanks for sending over money. Trey's in a tight spot. Thanks for fixing the porch. Trey's not really a tools guy." Everything I gave, she tied back to him. I told myself for years that if I just gave enough, they'd see me. That if I played the role of the reliable one long enough, they'd finally call me something other than so helpful. But helpful was never love. Helpful was just useful. And suddenly, I wasn't sure I even wanted her gratitude anymore. Because what would she say now? Sorry, I handed the deed to your brother like it was a birthday card? No, that wasn't her. Mom's specialty was deflection. Trey's was denial. And mine? Mine had always been endurance. But not anymore. I wasn't just going to endure this. I was going to expose it. I wasn't just the one who paid. I was the one who signed. And they never thought I'd read the fine print. 3 days after the barbecue, Trey posted a photo on Instagram, him standing in front of Mom's house, holding a paint roller, shirtless, grinning like he'd just inherited a kingdom. Caption: First steps of turning this place into my sanctuary. Big things coming. There were hashtags. New beginnings, manifestation, grateful. I almost threw my phone. Because if manifestation means someone else bleeds so you can claim the blessing, then sure. Trey manifested the hell out of that house. What no one knew, what they'd never bothered to ask, was that I didn't just pay the mortgage. I managed it. After Mom's surgery 3 years ago, she gave me temporary power of attorney to handle her bills while she recovered. I was the one who worked with the bank, negotiated lower rates, set up autopay. And when she asked me to just keep managing it, I agreed. She never revoked it. She never even changed the login. She was always more comfortable letting me handle the numbers, as she put it, which was code for, you do the hard stuff, and I'll just smile at the results. So while Trey was out surfing in Bali, I was reading bank contracts. And guess what I learned? The deed wasn't in her name anymore. Back in 2021, the bank had recommended something called a quiet title transfer. Basically, because I was the one making every single payment, they suggested streamlining ownership by moving the property under a revocable living trust, with me listed as sole trustee. I brought the idea to Mom. It just makes things easier, I'd said. Legally. Taxes. Estate stuff. She'd waved it off with a laugh and signed the papers without even reading them. So guess what? I'm not just the person who paid for the house. I'm the one who legally controls it. Let me say that again, in case Trey's future podcast listeners need a moment. I own the trust. I sat back in my chair and stared at the scanned PDF like it was a winning lottery ticket. All that time, I thought I was powerless, that I'd given everything and had no way to take any of it back. But I was wrong, and they didn't know it yet. I called my attorney, Michelle, the next morning. She's sharp. No nonsense. The kind of person who says things like, I don't work in revenge. I work in results. I emailed her the documents. She called me back 20 minutes later. Renee, you're the trustee of the property trust. That means legally, you hold all decision-making power over the home, even if my mom's still living in it? Especially because she signed her authority over to the trust. And you are the sole managing party. And Trey, he has the same legal claim as a random guy on the street. It took a minute to sink in. They really thought they could erase me, turn my sacrifice into a trophy for Trey. But now I had something better than a confrontation. I had leverage. I didn't call them. I didn't text. Instead, I requested a formal change of mailing address with the county property office, so that all future documentation regarding the property would come to me. And then I had a new set of keys made. The day after the new keys arrived, I drove to the house while they were out. Trey's car was gone, and I knew Mom had book club on Thursdays. I stood on the front porch for a long time, just staring at the place. The cracked walkway, the faded shutters, the little wind chime I bought her on a school field trip in 6th grade. It didn't feel like home anymore, but it was still mine. I unlocked the door, walked through the house, and took pictures of everything. Why? Because Trey was already renovating. And if he damaged a single square foot of that place, I was going to make sure the repairs came out of his Playboy travel budget. Later that night, Trey texted, Yo, did you go to Mom's today? Some stuff was moved around. I waited 6 hours. Then replied, Yeah, just checking on my property. ... Then, what do you mean your property? I sent a single attachment. Trust document.pdf, no caption. No explanation. Let him read it. Let him feel it. He didn't reply. But 5 minutes later, I got a missed call from Mom. I didn't answer. Instead, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb and pulled up Zillow. Because next week, I'm getting a property valuation. And if they thought they were going to build a sanctuary with my sweat, they're about to get a crash course in repossession. They called me dramatic. until they realized I own the drama and the deed. The voicemail from Mom came in at 11:13 p.m. Renee, we need to talk. I didn't understand what you signed. You know I never read all that legal stuff. I thought it was still my house. Trey's already started working on it. Please don't do anything rash. Rash? No, Mom. What's rash is handing your son a house you didn't even own. The next morning, I had a message from Trey too. Short. Cold. I know what you're doing. You're trying to embarrass us. You're sick. Embarrass you? I hadn't even started. I sat in my kitchen with a coffee mug that said, "Quiet people have the loudest minds," and opened a blank document. Header. Timeline of payments, communications, and legal transfers. 2018 to 2023. By the time I was done, I had a 17-page breakdown of every dollar I'd put into that house, every wire transfer, every screenshot of texts where Mom thanked me for handling the mortgage again, and every digital receipt from the repair guys and contractors I'd hired to fix the roof, repaint the kitchen, and redo the plumbing. I printed 2 copies, one for my lawyer, one for just in case, because something told me I was going to need it. That afternoon, I got a knock on the door. It wasn't Mom. It wasn't Trey. It was a messenger service, manila envelope, certified delivery. Inside, a formal notice of reconsideration of trust assignment, signed by my mother and her new lawyer. I stared at it. She was trying to undo the trust. I called Michelle. She read the document while I sat in stunned silence. Then she said, she doesn't have a legal leg to stand on. That trust is airtight. She signed it, it was notarized, and you've managed the finances for 5 years. The law's on your side. So they can't take it back? Not without your consent. And what if I don't give it? Then they can scream into the void. Later that day, I got a text from a cousin. Are you okay? Your mom's saying you're trying to evict her. Evict her? I hadn't filed a single notice. Not a call. Not a threat. Not even a warning. But suddenly, I was the villain? So I did what I should have done weeks ago. I got loud. That night, I posted on Facebook. A simple post. For 5 years, I worked 2 jobs to pay off my mom's house. I paid every cent, handled every repair, took care of the paperwork, even got it moved into a trust under my name to make it easier for her. Last week, she handed it, without my knowledge, to my brother, who has never paid a dime toward it. She's now trying to reverse the legal trust she willingly signed because I dared to remind them I exist. Family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about the receipts. No names. No drama. Just facts. Within an hour? 87 comments. People I hadn't heard from in years messaged me. I remember you working doubles back then. Thought you were saving for a house? Wait, your brother? The one who borrowed $3,000 from me in college and ghosted. This makes me sick. You deserve so much better. That same night, Trey posted a randy Instagram story. He said, and I quote, "Some people can't stand to see others happy. I was finally building something, and now they want to tear it all down over technicalities." Technicalities? You mean legal ownership? My cousin texted me again. "Girl, you broke the internet. Aunt Marlene just called your mom entitled to her face." Good. The next morning, my lawyer sent me a message, ready to proceed with the formal cease and desist? Or would you rather initiate a protective ownership clause and lock them out? I paused, because deep down, even after all this, I wasn't sure if I could do it. Locking them out? It felt so final. But then I got a text from Mom. Just 2 lines. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. Trey deserves a chance. Don't ruin this for him." That's when I knew. She hadn't called to say sorry. She hadn't asked to fix it. She just wanted me to stay quiet. Again. So I replied, "You made your choice. Now I'm making mine." And I told Michelle, "Lock it down." The next 48 hours were a blur. New locks. Notice posted to the property. Mail redirected. Utilities changed to my name. By Friday, I got a final text from Trey. "Wow. Hope you enjoy being alone in a house no one wants to visit." I didn't reply. Because I didn't need anyone to visit. I had built that house alone. And I could rebuild my peace the same way. They called me petty. Until 3.2 million people told me I was right. It started as a rant. Nothing fancy. No makeup. Just me on my couch, hoodie up, hair messy, staring straight into my phone. I recorded the video in one take. No script. No filter. Hi, I'm Renee. I'm the daughter who paid off her mom's entire mortgage, 5 years of double shifts, 2 jobs, skipped vacations, and last week, my mom handed the house to my brother like it was a party favor. She smiled, gave him the deed, said, "You deserve a place to settle down." For context, my brother has never paid a single bill, has 3 failed businesses, and thinks taxes are optional. I, on the other hand, lived in a studio apartment with a broken stove while putting every cent into that house. They say family isn't about money. But let me tell you something. When you spend 5 years giving, and they still act like you don't exist, that's not family. That's theft with extra steps. I almost didn't post it. But then I thought, screw it. What were they going to do, kick me out of the house I legally own? So I hit upload. Titled it, "Video Camera, I Paid Off My Mom's House." She gave it to my brother. I went to bed and forgot about it. When I woke up, 93,000 views. By noon, 500,000. By dinner, 3.2 million. The comment section? Absolute fire. Your mom fumbled the most loyal child she had. This is why I keep receipts. Be the villain in their narrative if it means being free. Trey sounds like a walking red flag dipped in Axe body spray. Sis, post the documents. We want the tea. So I did. Next video, the receipts. I held up the wire transfer confirmations, mortgage statements, the trust document, the power of attorney form, the final payment notice, dated, stamped, signed. Over dramatic piano music, I narrated, "Here's 5 years of proof that I wasn't just helping. I was carrying the entire house on my back while they planned the big handoff." That one? 4.7 million views. The media picked it up by day 3. Local radio ran a segment called, "When the Golden Child Gets the Gold You Bought." Then a finance podcast DM'd me asking for an interview. Someone on TikTok made a parody skit where a guy playing Trey tries to renovate a house with monopoly money and ego. I laughed for a full minute straight. And then, the messages started rolling in. Not from strangers. From people who'd been quiet until now. My cousin. I always thought Trey got special treatment, but this is insane. My dad, who I hadn't heard from in years. I saw the video. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. My old college roommate. You inspired me to cancel my lease with my freeloading sister. Thanks for the push. But the real kicker? A message from Trey. Hope you're enjoying the attention. Real mature to air family drama to the world. Don't be surprised when people stop taking you seriously. I screenshotted it, blurred his name, and posted it as Golden Child Energy Exhibit A. He called me dramatic for telling the truth. But I only posted what happened. If you don't like the story, maybe you shouldn't have written it that way. The internet ate it up. My follower count passed 200K. People started tagging me in posts about financial boundaries, family dynamics, and the cost of being the responsible one. I even got an email from a lawyer who said, "If you ever want to teach a class on quiet power moves, let me know." Meanwhile, Mom posted one of those vague Facebook statuses. Sometimes people twist the truth for attention. We should all remember that family comes before pride. One comment under it said, "Then why'd you give your daughter's house to your son?" She deleted the post. By the end of the week, something strange happened. Trey called. I didn't pick up. So he texted, "Look, I get it now." Okay. I didn't know how deep it went. I just thought. Mom wanted me to have it. I'm sorry. I stared at it. Because for the first time in forever, it sounded almost human. But then I remembered, this is Trey. And sorry for him means, I'm sorry you're mad. Not, I take full accountability. So I didn't respond. Instead, I made one last post. Just me, standing in front of the house. New locks on the door. Fresh coat of paint. Holding a mug that said CEO of Boundaries. This house is mine. The documents are real. The receipts are real. The betrayal? Unfortunately, also real. But here's the thing about burning bridges. Sometimes the light helps you finally see who was never really on your side. They called it a family home. But I was the only one who paid the rent on that word. After the video storm, after the apology that wasn't from Trey, and the vague shade from my mother, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not rage. Not hurt. Not even victory. Just quiet. Like the sound after a thunderstorm when everything's still damp and glowing. For the first time, I wasn't calculating how to make things okay again. I wasn't checking in, smoothing things over, or preparing for the next explosion. I was just still. My lawyer called me the next morning. So, you want to sell it? Rent it? Live in it? We've got options. I stared out the window, watching rain slide down the glass. The house didn't feel like home anymore. But it wasn't about the drywall or the furniture. It was the history inside it. That place held every version of me they'd taken for granted. Every birthday they forgot. Every emergency I handled. Every favor that was really a one-sided transaction. I didn't want to live in it. But I also didn't want to run. I wanted closure. So I sent a final text to my mom. I'm not evicting you. You can stay for 90 days rent-free. After that, we'll figure something out. But I won't be part of this family fantasy anymore. She replied within minutes. I don't understand why you're doing this. And that's when I knew she still didn't get it. She didn't understand that doing this wasn't spite. It was survival. I didn't text back. Instead, I packed a box. Not a moving box, a memory box. Inside, a copy of the deed, the photo of us from my high school graduation, the old Queen of Effort mug I kept as a joke, and the final mortgage statement. I labeled the box. This is what silence built. Then I dropped it off at the house. No note. No explanation. Just a quiet delivery of truth. A few days later, I signed a lease on a brand new apartment downtown. Sunlight, hardwood floors, and a washer-dryer I didn't have to split with neighbors. It wasn't big, but it was mine. Paid with money I didn't give away out of guilt. I bought a plant. Named her Cleo. Every morning, I watered Cleo, opened my emails, and smiled when I saw messages like, "Your story gave me the courage to cut ties. You made me feel less alone." I finally stood up to my mom. Thank you. Turns out, telling the truth is contagious. A month later, I went back to the house one last time. Alone. It was quiet. The yard overgrown. The wind chimes still clinking softly, the ones I bought in 6th grade. I walked through the rooms. The living room where we used to build blanket forts. The kitchen where I learned to cook by watching YouTube because Mom was too tired. The hallway where I overheard her tell my aunt that Trey just needed more help than Renee. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stood there and whispered, "We're done." Then I closed the door behind me. I sold the house 2 weeks later. It went above asking price. I used part of the money to pay off my student loans, donated a chunk to the women's shelter downtown, and booked a flight, solo, to Lisbon. First trip in 5 years. Before I boarded the plane, I got a message from Trey. Saw the listing. Guess it's really over, huh? No emoji. No sarcasm. I typed. It was over the day I paid for everything and you took a bow. Then I blocked the number. I don't know if they still talk about me. If they still spin stories to make themselves the victims. But honestly, I don't care. Because when I stopped begging to be seen, I finally saw myself. And I liked what I found. Renee didn't just buy her mom's house. She bought her freedom. She didn't burn bridges. She let them collapse under their own weight. And as she walked away, she didn't leave behind a broken family. She left behind a broken cycle. If this story touched you, share it with someone who remembers those days too.